Howdy folks, and welcome to another video here on Tisbury 33 Games. I'm Cody Shalfo, and today I bring you as part 2 to my MLB The Show wish list here and what I want to see mostly during franchise mode, but a little bit of Road to the Show as well. I apologize for the glitchy gameplay. It kind of just happened in editing, but here are some things I would love to see in MLB The Show next year. I mean, I'm a big franchise gamer. I play a little bit of Road to the Show. I just love this game. I play it all year round. As you can see, playing it, right before the new year. So first off, before we even get started, I hope everyone had a happy holiday season, a very safe holiday season. I hope everyone has a happy new year and is ready for 2023. Also make sure to go down into the description below. There you'll find a link to my Twitter, where you can stay up to date on everything where I post these videos, all that fun stuff. Also be able to see my broadcasting channel. I'm a sports broadcaster, and I'd love for you guys to check that out as well, some of my highlights and things of that nature. And also have a link to the first video where we did mostly all centered around franchise mode. And you hear some of the original thoughts. These were some things I thought about after the fact, doing some research. These are some things that I thought about. Might be more minute details. A lot of that first video is bulky things, such as improved draft, improved regression, things everyone wants to see. So here are some other things that I would like to see in MLB The Show 23. Be able to adjust your rotation, whether that's a 6-man rotation, if you want a 4-man rotation, or schedule your opener. So right now, as it stands, you're only able to put on the usual just 5-man rotation. That's standard. You can't really do anything else with it unless you kind of do it manually, and that can be tedious, especially if you're playing 162 games, or you have 162 games to manage, whether that's by playing or simulation. And you can't get to everything. You really can't. So you can't, unless you go game by game and you decide things of that nature, you really can't make these fun rotations. I mean, teams have put out 6-man rotations. Maybe your ace is hurt and you have 2 guys who are, quadruple A players, and you want to see them both get some run. You can just make it a 6-man rotation, and then once that ace comes back, you have a big sample size to see who you want to keep as that 5th starter, or maybe you just have a very deep starting pitcher core. Maybe you have a few AAA guys who are really good, but they're just being blocked because you have 3 or 4 stud pitchers. You can make it a 6-man rotation, get everyone in. Also helps with fatigue, also helps with keeping injuries down. Those are the luxuries teams with big depth have, and you really aren't able to exploit that in MLB The Show. Also, maybe even go to 4-man rotations. Maybe you're a team in the wild card hunt in September and you really want to lock down, and maybe you just kind of shorten up your rotation, make sure you have the best chance of winning every single night. Obviously in the playoffs, teams usually go to 3 or 4-man rotations, which you can do technically in the game, but no other team will do it. And you might have a game 5 where the team starts a 67 overall pitcher because that's their 5th starter, or they'll start a 71 overall rookie instead of maybe going to their fully rested ace. So logic, things of that nature. Also being able to schedule an opener. That's a tactic that's deployed by a bunch of teams. Bullpen days. You can schedule those, and just being able to do that in a menu so you don't have to go into every single game. It just adds time, adds tediousness, and I think you should be able to do that right in that rotation screen. Be able to set the length of your rotation, and then the screen just looks the same. You'll either have 6 bars or 4 bars or 5 bars that you can fill in. You'll be able to mix and match however you want, but just being able to just basically automate that process would be awesome. A DH tag or a DH badge or a DH quirk to improve designated hitter logic. So we talked about, we've seen in recent years 2K's had the badges since like 2K12 or 2K13. Those have expanded, and those I think are awesome. Madden has the superstar abilities, which I don't think Major League Baseball, this game needs, but they do have the quirks. And we've had our gripes with the quirks, like how much do they actually do, how much are they, actually affecting things of that nature. But I would love for there to be an ability or basically a quirk that sets that player as a DH, or preferably is a DH. And this comes back, in just that logic. I'm a Red Sox fan, so I play a lot of Red Sox franchise. So I know JD Martinez isn't going to be a left fielder. He's going to be in the DH spot. Like, I know upcoming Justin Turner most likely is going to be a DH. But the computer doesn't really know that. It goes off that base overall, which I guess is fine and cool, and you're able to kind of manipulate that and get a DH in a spot. But for people who don't want to go in and basically roster control, you have guys out there in the outfield who have like 40 defensive ratings, and their DH is an outfielder who has like a 75 defensive, fielding attribute. That doesn't really make much sense, and especially if both of them are going to play, might as well put the one with good fielding in there. Now, and this, you've seen teams, maybe they'll sign two players. Like, there was an instance in one of my franchises where the Braves had a Matt Olson and then signed Pete Alonso like 2 or 3 years in. Pete Alonso was the first baseman because he was rated higher overall, and Matt Olson was relegated to the DH role, even though Matt Olson is a Gold Glover and Pete Alonso is, at best, a decent to below average fielding first baseman. Now, that's an extreme example where first base really doesn't matter, but in that situation, Pete Alonso's the DH 11 times out of 10. Or a situation where Marcell Ozuna is playing left field instead of a player that is DHing who has higher attributes in the field. Things of that nature. Maybe have a tag where the CPU knows, all right, if he's at this position, preferably put him at DH. Now, there's going to be Philly situations where you have just bad fielders, and that's okay. And I think at that point, it should go basically to the lowest rated fielder. So you have Castellanos, you have Schwarber, you have Bohm, you have Hoskins, all of which play the corners. And basically you figure out, okay, which one of these guys has the lowest attribute in fielding, and those guys become the DH. Or maybe you kind of prefer, like, all right, the corner, left field, we can get away with a bad fielder, but we really can't get away with a bad fielder at third base. So maybe third base becomes the DH, and a higher rated defensive third baseman fills into the everyday role. Something like that. I think it would be good. As the user team, who's your DH, how to manage that, but the CPU, it seems like they don't really know how to manage that. I'd love for there to be something in the game to help the computer manage that aspect of the lineup. Next, make single A matter. Now, I know you can't put so many players into the game that you have single A to be playable. There's so many levels in Major League Baseball. The ability to play AA, AAA, and MLB, I think, is just fantastic, awesome. I play minor league games here and there, especially with prospects not coming up right away. You want to get, able to develop bonds with these players. And I think single A is one of those things where it's 15 players extra, and they just progress. There isn't much. There's no regression if you're in single A. You just baseline. Progress, a couple points a year. Now, if you're in the minor leagues and you're tearing it up, you can get quicker progression. If you hit 15 home runs in the first half in minor leagues, your power's going to go up. But if you don't hit any home runs, your power might even stagnate, even go up just like 1 or 2 attributes, or even go down. Just like in major leagues, just like in AAA, but in single A, there isn't. It's time stops, and you just progress individually. I would love for there maybe either put fake stats, maybe have single A players get a scouting report to know how well they're doing. I know a lot of people kind of just look at the attributes and go, all right, well, if someone gets injured, this guy's next in line to go up whatever level. But I think it would be cool to kind of put up to, if you have a 65 overall center fielder who's your future, and you have a 63 overall left fielder who might not be your future, but is a decent prospect, and a double-A center fielder gets hurt and you bring somebody up. Maybe there's a scouting screen that says, hey, this player, your 65 overall stud, he's not really doing too well in single A. Maybe holding him here is a better idea. And maybe that 62 overall B potential guy is like, hey, he's really killing it. I think he's ready for the next level. I think that can really help determine who is ready for that next level, and so you don't bring someone up prematurely and stunt their growth. I just think single A should matter a little bit. Put in a trade approver like 2K. Now in 2K there's an ability, and I think 2K, we said it in the first video, we'll say in this one, they are the standard of franchise gaming. I mean, say what you want about the gameplay, how the game actually plays, but the franchise aspect of it, you're able to customize everything. There's sliders for everything. There's toggleable things for everything. You can have a really fun time in a 2K My League, and you can customize whatever you want, and all we're asking is for that ability. And 2K has an ability where every time a trade throughout the league is committed, it brings you to a screen. It's like, hey, this is what the trade is. Would you like to accept it? Would you not like to accept it? I think this can help a lot with the trade logic. I don't think every single trade is bad. And I think the computer trading, we want to see that. We want to see the league mimic the league that's in real life. And unfortunately, with the trade logic being like it is, somewhat improved, and that's kind of been a focus, but it's not quite there yet, And I think just having the ability to be able to, all right, some of these wacky trades are going to happen, and you're going to get some good ones every once in a while, but just the ability to say, all right, those wacky trades, no, I don't want to see them. And then it lets those decent trades or fun trades be able to get through. At this point, you're playing. I play with my slider just one from the very bottom. You see some trades, but it kind of takes away from those super ridiculous trades. Juan Soto's, Mike Trout's, these superstars, the Ronald Acuñas, the Vlad Guerreros, the Wander Francos, they're not going anywhere. But you also go to the fact that no one's getting traded, and you're the only one making trades, and it's kind of frustrating a little bit. So that's where I kind of stand on that. Just give us the ability to determine which trades you want to see in our league, which ones don't. They'd be able to keep the trade slider up. You see some crazy ones, you just dismiss them, and then you keep moving. I think that's simple. I think that's easy. I think that's awesome. Custom draft classes. We talked about drafts a little bit. International draft, a regular high school, college draft. Just be able to customize your draft class. And I think there are so many fun creators. Obviously, the writing rosters are famous for being, the top of the line. And there's so many creative people out there. Just give them the ability to make your game better. It's kind of saying, hey, you don't have to actually be creative, but it's like you just let the sports game community will do things. We've kept games like NCAA 14 alive for years. We've kept older games alive with modding and being able to be creative. Just allow us to be creative, and we, if you build it, we will come. If you build the ability for us to do something creative, the community will do it, and it lets people like me who aren't that creative kind of be able to feed off that and be able to actually use those things. I would love a custom draft class. I would love for the ability to play with Drew Jones before Riding Rosters gets to put him in their second wave of rosters. I would love things like that. But you won't be able to. You can go multiple years. You can have people do created draft classes and custom draft classes that are all fictional and have this super advanced world, and I think that would be awesome. Something that they should do. Madden does it, 2K does it, I believe NHL does it. I don't play NHL, but I would assume so. I would assume FIFA has some type of creator that's a little bit more in depth, and that's just something that's lacking with MLB The Show. Put all the names into the game right now, off the bat, and MLB The Show's done an awesome job at this over the past years, putting the prospects in the game, real life prospects, real life names, all that super fun stuff. But right now, there's no ability to use those names. I know I had a guy, Road to the Show guy, Jeter Givens. That's just a name I gave him. He was a shortstop, all that fun stuff. When Jeter Downs was in the game, his audio was audible. You could hear it, and they say, now batting Jeter Downs. There's no way for me to put that onto my character, so I still have to go with something Downs. Like, I can't, when I'm playing Road to the Show, they won't say Jeter because it's technically not a first name in the database. You have all these creative names, especially with a lot of the Hispanic players that have these fun names. I don't want, Mike Gonzalez from a Puerto Rican. I want Enrique Gonzalez or Huascar Gonzalez or Ilhuris Montero. I definitely said his name wrong, but I would like those names to be represented in the auto-generated pool, and I'd also like them to be able to just have the audio in the game. They say it. Boog Shambi says it. I don't know why it can't be in the game. Another one, I would like to see the personality badges. Now, I kind of talked about this in the first video I made on my first wish list. So again, go check that out if you haven't. But I would love to see, instead of these quirks, a personality badge. I think baseball is one of those things where managing, that's the thing. You're not coaching, it's managing. And that's the separator between that and other sports. You have a head coach in all the other sports, you have a manager in baseball. And managing personalities is one thing that you have to do. It's such a big part of the job, and that's so underrepresented in MLB The Show. And I mentioned kind of like managers who are from another country, maybe have players who are from the United States get a little bit of a boost because they're playing for a manager that's of their same country or of their or international. Maybe you have a hothead who cares about stats, and if the team's winning but his stats are low, he's going to be frustrated and his stats are going to go down. Or a guy who's a team captain, and when the team is playing well or a specific teammate is playing well, his stats go up and he in turn plays well. Players that are super streaky or players that are super consistent without very many peaks and valleys. You'll be able to represent this in the game, and it makes managing your team and who's on your team and the construction of your team and your lineup and roster so much more in depth and so much more fun. And I think you simply, maybe not replacing the quirks, but maybe quirks can be a Diamond Dynasty feature, and personalities can be a franchise feature. And I think I think those work way more than quirks. I think those work way more just for the style of how you want to run a franchise. I think that would be awesome. And I think you can expand that. You can keep going. You can put a lot into that, and maybe your star shortstop and your ace hate each other, and that results in around June, July, one of them asks for a trade, if not both of them ask for a trade, or an ultimatum, say, hey, I'm player X's stats, both player stats go way down and play awful unless one of them are traded. And you can toggle that on and off. I think it'd be cool, but I also understand people not like, hey, I don't want someone to force me to do what I want in my save file. If I want 13 Mike Trouts, you should be able to have 13 Mike Trouts, or maybe there is a situation where you sign a short, a Jeter A-Rod. Jeter wouldn't move to third base, even though A-Rod was, probably by far the better defensive shortstop. Maybe you have a situation like that. Maybe a middle infielder comes up and your shortstop that's been on your team for 4 years will say, hey, if you move me to a different position, all my attributes go down, hitting and fielding. Or the other guy goes, hey, I'm a shortstop. You drafted me as a shortstop. You drafted me as a center fielder. You drafted me as a starting pitcher. I'm not going to the corner. I'm not going to third or second base. I'm not going into the bullpen. Or his stats go down. Something like that I think would be awesome. And you can play with that. There are so many different scenarios to go over for this video, but there are just so many different things you can do with it. I would love to see something done with it, however. Suspensions. Now, this won't happen. It's the same reason why NCAA games gave up academic suspensions or team suspensions from bowl games. It just reflects poorly on the product, especially when the Players Association is working directly with the games. They don't want their players to be shown in a bad light. Maybe we won't see those personality badges where players demand trades, because then, you know, like, I don't know, Aaron Judge, if he demands a change in the game, it reflects poorly on him, things like that. All a bunch of semantics. Is what it is, whatever. So that might not be in the game. We definitely won't see suspensions, but it'd be cool. You know, you have Fernando Tatis. Now he can't play because he's suspended. He doesn't play a whole year. A player that gets injured might be more prone to suspension, especially if they're injury prone, because they're trying to get on something to help them out. They're trying to get on something that helps their healing process, and maybe it's illegal. Maybe a player was violating team rules and has to be suspended for a couple days. It won't happen, but that's something that would be cool. This one's a long shot, but add the World Baseball Classic. Maybe this could be a Road to the Show feature, and this is the last feature before I go to Road to the Show, so this will be our segue into Road to the Show, because this would add on. This year's World Baseball Classic, the first time since 2017 we've had it, or 2018 or whatever. I think it was 17. You know, due to the pandemic, all that fun things, and there's some hype around it, you know, like people are excited about it, and I think this year especially would be awesome to kind of ride that wave, make it a selling feature that you can play the World Baseball Classic maybe once every 4 years. You're prompted with the screens like, hey, during spring training you can either control a team. It could be whatever team. It could be the United States, Japan, you know, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, whatever, Canada. And it basically pools all the players. It's where they're born from or where they're from tag. You know, you've seen all the player cards. That just takes the best 26-man roster. So, you know, we won't see, you know, players that decline to go like we do in, you know, the Olympics, or we do in the World Baseball Classic. I think that would help really make it fun, and you're able to play the tournament. Maybe make just a simple tournament. You don't have to do the whole like qualifying round and this. Just make like a 16-team tournament or 18 tournament. You play one game, so you get to play 3 games. You get to be whatever team you want to be, and you get to do it. Or maybe your Road to the Show character is invited to the World Baseball Classic every 4 years, and you're able to either participate or not. And then you get to play for your country in the World Baseball Classic. Maybe not the Olympics, but this is super. I think it would be awesome to do. I think it would be cool. I think you're capitalizing on the hype of it right now. And it's a long shot. I don't think it will happen, but I think that would be cool. And you can implement that both in franchise and in Road to the Show, especially Road to the Show. And that's where we're going to end off here. Now, I play Road to the Show. Obviously, I'm playing it right now. You see the gameplay for it. But MLB The Show is fun. It comes out right out of the box. I don't touch franchise until the riding rosters come out. They do such a fantastic job, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up on YouTube, look it up on Twitter. They basically go in and recreate the whole minor league system. Before all the minor leaguers were in the game out of the box, it wasn't. It was the 40-man rosters for every team, you know, a couple free agents that were real, and then it was all created auto-generated players who weren't real. And so if you have a team with a stacked farm system, it wasn't really reflected. You couldn't wait for a Marcelo Meyer to get up. You couldn't wait for a Adley Rutschman or a Wander Franco or Julio Rodriguez or a Bobby Witt, because they weren't in the game. And then a couple years ago, it came like the team's top 10, like the MLB top 100 prospects were in. And then it became now everyone's in there, or whatever, an accurate representation of what a minor league system is, with a few omissions. But the write-in rosters go in there, they basically take over, and they add all the important free minor leaguers into the game. They balance it out, so not every single top, you know, I think the top 30 prospects for every team is in there, and then they kind of pick and choose, and it's awesome. But until that happens, I play Road to the Show. don't mess around with a franchise, put all this investment in something I'm just going to discard anyway, so I'll probably roll the show. So I think my one gripe with it, and I can find fun in it, I know how to kind of balance it out, so I progress fast enough, but also don't get bored with it. I don't make it super far. I usually make it to the major leagues with every guy I get because I play it so much, I guess, in the first couple of weeks until that comes out. But only once or twice have I really gotten far enough. I think I've gotten a good like 10 seasons in with one character I made. That was the Jeter Gibbons character I mentioned in the beginning of the video. But rarely do you get that far. And I think it needs a balance between some story and some more things to do, but it doesn't want to get too KE where it's too much. There's a balance, and I don't have many ideas right now. I think everyone wants to go and play a college and a high school season. I think that would be cool. I think it's kind of reverted a little bit. I think the scouting combine thing, you play the 3 games, and however you do kind of determines your draft stock. I thought that was cool. I thought that was great, and I don't like how they omitted it from the game. Or have taken it away in the recent iterations of MLB The Show. But I think it would be cool to have some sort of you play before you get evaluated. Because right now it's like you get drafted in the first round and they just pick a round for you and they pick a team for you. Really no rhyme or reason. You know, it's not like, you can't really pick. You're always 18 years old. You can't go to college in this. You can't pick college. And before, if you did the scouting and then you went to college, then your potential tanked. I had one guy who I did the first. I just decided I wanted to make him a little bit older, so I did the first scouting combine, did fine, and then I went to a 3-year school, and then my potential was a D, even though I played well, and that shouldn't be the case. You're telling me that every single college kid is gonna have a D potential just because they're a couple years older? I thought that was dumb, and that ended up being like I would get released by my team every year. I'd hit 330 with 45 home runs or whatever, and I get released because they're like, oh, he has a deep potential. So it was decently fun. I got to sign wherever I wanted, but it kind of took away that experience, and I didn't like that character anymore. So there needs to be a balance. There needs to be something that makes it not as monotonous as it is. I feel like once you get to the major leagues, there's no more story. And I like the way they've done this podcast thing. I have the PS4, so I don't get to see the visual like people do on the PS5. So I kind of skip over it. I play on low volume and listen to music or do something. So I don't really listen to the game much. So I don't really hear most of what they're saying. But I think it's a nice touch. I think if they expanded it a little bit more, but don't make it so it kind of hard caps you into doing this story. You can still do whatever you would like. You can still kind of customize your thing. Maybe it gives you choices. The early 2Ks did this well, where interviews got to choose, and it kind of determined how like your teammates liked you. And I remember 2K14, there were like investment options. Do you want to do it? Do you not want to do it? And then that affects kind of how much VC you got at the end of the game or whatever. And I think that would be cool. So that's going to wrap it up here on Tisbury 33 Games with Cody Shalafu. Again, make sure to check the description. Find the links. It has links to this first video. It has links to my broadcasting channel. It has links to my Twitter. Also, hey, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Also, check out some of the other videos I have on the channel. I know I'm new to this YouTube thing. So I have some Vermont State University that should be posted. I have a couple episodes in the bank, and I have one more video coming out after this. It's kind of a heart-to-heart talk, so be on the lookout for that. So like, subscribe, we'll see you soon. From Tisbury 33 Games, I'm Cody Shalafu. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy New Year, everybody, and we'll see you in 2023.